Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm very honored as UN Women Country Representative to Nigeria and ECOWAS to warmly welcome you all to the launch of the project on protection, empowerment, and resilience building for conflict-affected women and girls in Northeast Nigeria.
Women cope with losses when we have this insurgency of their breadwinners, children, families, livelihood, domiciles, self-esteem, dignity, occupation, and livelihood. The list is endless.
As we have seen clearly how women and girls have themselves shown strong resilience against all odds. Our role then is to facilitate their access to the tools and the resources that will enable them to re-establish a semblance of normalcy in their lives.
The government of Japan, therefore, has decided to support the project Protection, Empowerment, and Resilience Building of Women in Northeast Nigeria, PERD, to UN Women.
The victims of insecurity and devastation anywhere are women, and the rebuilding of the war-torn areas starts from rebuilding the women.
It was estimated that the insecurity has displaced more than 1.7 million people in Nigeria, as well as in neighboring Cameroon, Chad, Niger. The insurgency in northeast Nigeria has left a significant portion of the population without access to adequate food, water, and health services.
This is a worthy initiative. We all should pay attention to this very, very carefully, as our women in these areas need every support they can get. Whilst we are encouraged with the training, advocacy, media engagement, partnership, we must remember their education.
This is a laudable project, and it is laudable as it addresses the intersection between women economic empowerment and gender-based violence, thereby providing the necessary strategies to effectively mobilize community to reduce gender-based violence.
The federal government, through the presidential initiative in the Northeast Zone, has provided relief to affected IDPs and has continued to assist in the reconstruction of affected communities.
You will all agree with me that the wife of the president's commitment to the plight of vulnerable women, particularly in the Northeast, cannot be overemphasized. She has gone out of her way to ensure that these women are fully supported and empowered. I can't count how many times we've gone to Borno and Yobe with Her Excellency, taking relief materials, taking supportive materials to ensure that they live a better life and a more sustainable life.
You would agree with me that, first of all, the situation of women in the Northeast hasn't been sufficiently documented and hasn't been sufficiently talked about. It's not only the situation of women, I think generally speaking, the situation of data is not ideal. We don't know enough about the situation simply because we can't access all the communities yet.
The challenge is lack of, getting the right thing for the right person. Most times interventions comes to the people, you give rice to a woman and she has other needs, and then she sells it to the market to be able to pay school fees for their children, and then she's also traumatized. She needs counseling before she can even engage into another thing, and you have not given that services.
We've gone to the market, we've checked, and then we've actually found out that most of these skills are marketable. Apart from that, we are looking at the sustainability aspects of the skills, and then for it to be sustainable, we have to use a very, very different approach, because most of the approaches we've been using is you train them and then you give them startup kits or you give them soft loans. It's actually not effective, because at the end of the day, they go back to sell those things or they utilize the money.
Most of the women are illiterate from the grassroots, but I think maybe forming adult education centers, or maybe through the women development centers we have in the 17 LGS, will help women to be literate, at least to have written and spoken issues.
Frankly speaking, I'm increasingly getting a little bit tired of our very traditional approaches to vocational training. One of my dreams, is that we manage to establish a linkage between the people in the Northeast, and especially the women, and the creativity that exists, for example, in Lagos.
What I'm worried about, first and foremost, is the psychology, their mental state. They've gone through a lot, they've gone through trauma. And this disturbs me in the fact that if you now give them empowerment, they haven't sorted out what in their minds need to be sorted out. They need to understand what happened to them, right? So closure, they need to understand what happened to them and how they can now protect themselves in the future.
From the outcome of such a survey, that agriculture has a role to play in post-conflict management.
With due respect to all the he for she's present here, so as it will be easier for the men to accept, to support the women and see the roles that the women play even in families, not as a second-class role, but as a role that they can comfortably fit in.
Ba mu da 'yanci mu mata mu tashi mu yi magana.
Women don't have a voice from the IDP camp where she's coming from, yes?
Muna son a tallafa mana, mu samu mu ma mu koya sana'a, mu taimaka mata 'yan uwanmu, abinda muka samu kuma mu sa yaranmu a makaranta.
Their priority is to acquire skills so that they can be economically independent, most especially for them to send their children to school.
The National Center for Women Development has been working tirelessly in the Northeast, Borno State, Adamawa, Yobe, Taraba since 2016, empowering women through livelihood, economic empowerment, and livelihood improvement using vocational skill training and business skill development, psychosocial support, and provision of startup pack and seeds to women.
We at the Better Life, we have established a microfinance bank to be able to give them soft loans, but we had issues trying to get to them. But with this initiative now, we would be able to support them through this channel as well. So it means a lot to me personally to be here and to be able to participate.
We at the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development, in collaboration with our partners and stakeholders, have our arms outstretched to partner with all of you and also with the UN Women and other relevant agencies to ensure that the Northeast is rebuilt and reconstructed.
In order to prevent further loss of life, however, Japan will continue to offer humanitarian, non-military assistance to UN Women and other international organizations to mitigate the effect of insurgency in Nigeria.
We must respond to their call and do so not in a tokenistic manner, but meaningfully. If we are serious about building sustainable peace in Northeast Nigeria, we must invest in supporting women and girls to re-establish their dignity and their self-reliance.
The Future Assured program has been put in place specifically to address some of these issues, and it is centered around supporting women and children.